into like your podcast?
Normally I just I don't do much of an introduction or whatever. But we could just try so John, how old are you, John?
22.
Bro, so yeah, you're young as hell. I think it was really cool how we met, right? Because we met like in this weird way where it's like we were just like looking at each other from the gym, we're like, he's fresh, she's fresh, or I hope that's what you said.
No, actually, so I will say, I did, because we had a couple interactions. It wasn't just like, I saw you at the gym. Like, we had a couple interactions, and I was like, he seems like a cool, genuine dude. Because I bump into a bunch of people, and like I said, like in the networking industry, it's like I talk to a lot of people too. So it's like I come across a lot of like egotistical people, a lot of like different kinds of people. So like I really understand like genuine.
Mm-hmm.
So like I saw you like right away as like I kind of like that guy.
Hey.
But like I didn't know like what kind of pursuing part.
No, yeah.
And then it was kind of crazy like just walking in, because I don't know if you noticed, but before I saw you when you were sitting in work,
Yeah.
I saw you in the parking lot. I walked right past you. I parked because you were taking a picture of
the Starbucks
you were taking a picture
thing on the ground.
and I walked right past you because I went to LA.
Oh yeah.
And I worked out, and then I went to work, and you were there. I was like, huh. And I was just like, you were like, yeah. You were like, I see you in the gym. I was like, yeah, Olympus, right? And he's like, yeah. And
Well, first of all, it's impressive that you're a member of two gyms.
yeah.
But
So I go to that one because it's close to work.
no, like, so I feel the same way. Like, I saw you around the gym, and that gym's kind of like, it's boring people, you know?
Yeah.
But you stuck out to me, and I think it's really interesting how, like, connections are formed, because there is a type of mutual attraction. It's non-sexual, whatever. And it was just really interesting that you can see someone, you're like, I think we're going to have a connection, because I definitely felt that way about you.
Yeah.
I was like, I know we're going to connect one day just because of the way that your demeanor,
Yep.
just everything about you. And it was just really interesting to follow that through line of gravity down and to see it coalesce into something that we're doing right now. Because we just started talking, like I ran into you again like today,
Yeah.
and immediately, I was just taken aback by how neutral you were in all of our conversations, how objective you were to be able to take yourself away from it and be like, yeah, dude, I hear what you're saying. Like, I'm right there with you. And I feel like that's kind of what society's at right now, is we're just like really trying to understand each other.
Yeah.
And it's hard because no one listens to one another.
Yeah. So I do a lot of reading of like small talk books, how to talk to people. And one of like the biggest things they say like in the books is like the more important part is listening. So like for me, it's like I'm always gonna understand what you say, because I'm more focused on listening and learning from the conversation than spurring out what I feel about it. Because I can leave talking about, oh, like I told that guy how I feel, or I can have a different outlook on the same situation that I don't have to agree with, but at least it's something different. Because if like enablers in a way, if you're constantly hearing, yeah, you're right, nothing is ever like going against your argument, then what, you're never gonna learn anything. You're just gonna think you're right about everything.
Yeah.
So I always believe in like evolution and getting better. So like I read every day. I read a certain amount of pages every day. And some days I exceed and go a little deeper, but it's just, I always think you can get better. Like, every day is about getting better. So, like, that's what I said. In society makes it feel like you shouldn't talk to people. Like, if I could have seen you today and been like, oh, like, I saw him yesterday, like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, what's up, Ethan? Like, how you doing? You know what I mean?
You remembered my name and everything.
Yeah, that's just... And like some people like to me, that is just like common courtesy. Like, if somebody tells you your name, it's up to you to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's how you make somebody feel important. Like, that's how you show somebody that you're actually engaged in what they're saying. Like,
that's how you get the most out of the relationship.
yeah, it's just some society, man. It makes people so like turtles, bro. It makes people in the shell. It's like
messed up. Like,
it's like you have to like break out of that. You gotta get uncomfortable and just like talk. It's just
yeah.
That's the best way, man.
No, like I completely agree, and I agree with what you're saying. The evolution, I think it's really interesting because a lot of people are on that me tip.
Yep.
That whole like self-actualization. To be the best version of myself, I have to give the most. I have to be the best version of myself, and to them that means selfishness.
Yeah.
To them that means not listening and getting yours because that's all that matters. But high key, low key, it's a high key, low key. That's de-evolution. To understand that we go further as a collective than on an individual basis. That's how we actually move forward, and I just think it's incredible these days how what's it called? How individualized we are. How our lives are just personalized.
It's like
blind
those fucking horse things. Like when they just got the blinders on, and it's like you don't even want to make eye contact with somebody just because it feels uncomfortable.
Because it's so deep. It is so intricate.
Yeah. Going back to that elevator situation, it's like you go into an elevator with people. Why not have that 30-second conversation? Because if they're rude to you, then you never see them again. It's just. I think people are just scared. Like, people are just scared for the wrong reasons. Like, there's no reason to be scared to talk to somebody. It's just the way that we just gotten smaller and smaller has just made it more of like a general thing. It's just
the echo chamber that we create around ourselves to only hear the opinions that we want to hear.
Yeah, of course. It's just selective hearing. But like, if you think about like even shows on TV, it's like it would show neighborhoods of people who are just hey Rick, it's like
hey neighbor,
dude, you go outside and like you see your neighbor outside, you don't say anything. You know what I mean?
Literally, it's embarrassing if you care about people.
It's
these
like,
days.
dude, you've lived next to each other for 10 years and you've said 3 sentences to each other,
and you're staring at his wife. You might as well say hey.
It's like you guys live in the same community. You probably have some of the same outlooks on, hey, like, why the hell is trash day on Tuesday? You know what I mean? Like, it's something.
Bro, I'm 28. I still don't know what day trash day is.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have my neighbors, I'd be fucked.
Yeah, so it's like people, I don't know, man. People like to stay in their bubble, and some people are just antisocial. It's up to the people like us to, like, break people out of that, because a lot of times if you do make the first move and talk to people, stuff like this unfolds where we were basically strangers yesterday and today we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
So it's you, like, even you saying, dude, I have a podcast, I'm like, hey, that's something I've been trying to do. So it's like you never know who you're gonna run into. You never know who you're talking to. Like, it's just take a little risk, which isn't even a risk. Like if you, here's the thing. If I said, hey, what's up, man, and you're like, what's up, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you go to pet a dog, you're like, hey, buddy, he's like, you don't fucking pet the dog.
Yeah,
like,
and you don't get that good time. Like,
it's like if the dog's like, you pat the dog on the head. It's not humane to, compare dogs to humans, but like,
if the shoe fits,
Right. I mean, if you say hello and smile to somebody, and they say hello and smile back, it doesn't. Or this happens all the time. I walk past, I say, hi, how you doing? And they're like, good, how are you? while they're walking away.
It's like, did you even care?
Yeah, it's just words.
I think it's like the pack mentality. Like, as we're talking about evolution, at some point in time, it actually did bode well to ignore people, because when we're fucking with survival of the fittest, like at a basic organism level, there was a time where it was dog eat dog out here.
Yeah.
Literally, someone was going to take your crops and kill you and take your wife and kill all your kids. So we needed this anxiety to keep us alive.
Yeah.
And now we need each other to keep us alive. And it's like so weird how it flip-flopped to our needs, and we're still in this old way of thinking, and we have to bust out of it somehow.
Yeah. Everything's just, there's no one way to this. Like, everything's gonna change, and sometimes it recycles. Like
It's always energy recycles.
Yeah,
Man.
I'm sure maybe, like we were saying, like college isn't really the answer right now, but maybe sometime down the line it'll get back to where college is the answer. Or like inflation goes down at some point, the stock market goes back up at some point. Like, everything is interchangeable, flip flop
Cycles.
Yeah, but I think one of the biggest misconceptions about life is like stranger danger, which I get it. There's definitely some places where like crime is up, trafficking is up, stuff like that. But can you name one job where you don't have to talk to strangers?
Yeah.
Like, we're taught as kids, like, don't talk to strangers, but like, all day at work, I talk to strangers and I get money from strangers all day. So it's like,
I can't think of one job that isn't.
Like, I understand, like, yeah, it's protected, but at some point, like, that's not the answer, because all that does is create antisocial people.
Yeah.
And like,
and we're social beings.
Yeah, I mean, we're meant to spread, like you said, we're meant to spread our knowledge, and that's one thing I pride myself on, is like, I'm always spreading what I know to other people, because I know what I know is a good base. Like, the way I think is maybe not the perfect way to think, or it's not perfect for you, or it doesn't work for you, but I know I'm pretty content with my life. People like me. I'm a pretty personable person.
Yeah,
so I don't think I don't think you should not listen to me, but to each his own. It's just, I don't think walking past somebody, I think walking past somebody is an opportunity missed. Every time you walk past somebody and don't say hi, it's an opportunity missed.
I agree.
So
everyone has a lesson. Like, everyone has their own key. That, like, you say one thing and boom, like a switch turns, a bomb explodes in a guy or girl's head, and they just create like a crazy song, or they paint the best picture, they make the best like screenplay or whatever, all just from this weird inspiration that is a shared experience. And the sharing of an experience is really difficult, I think, for a lot of people. They don't feel comfortable allowing their happiness and their success being dependent on another human being, because we've been raised to be, blinders on, I need to survive, but now it's like our survival depends on cooperation. And instead of looking at a stranger, it's like, I used to say this, it's like, when you look at a stranger, one or two things goes in your head. You're either threatened or you're interested.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested. The threats, sure, I've felt threatened before, but I'm still kind of more interested. Like, why are they threatening me?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they like me?
I mean, it's always a premeditated judgment, too. It's like, you might think this person is like a fucking serial killer, and then they're literally a teddy bear. You know what I mean? It's just, you never know until you talk. Mm-hmm. But I also think some people like misinterpret connecting with just like boasting. Anyway, like some people, like in my own opinion, like I said, I like listening more than talking, because for instance, like some people try too hard to connect, and then it comes off as like you're comparing. As like say it's like, oh, I've been through this, or oh, I get you because I've been through this, which is it's cool to exchange experiences, but it's more about listening. Like when somebody goes through something tragic, the worst thing to say is, yeah, it hurt me when that happened too. You know, it's like
that doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
for
like,
telling me that you have felt something too.
It's kind of
but
like
I'm hurting.
it's kind of like validating yourself in a way. It's like you just gotta deal with your own you deal with your own stuff, and with yourself. It doesn't mean you have to do it alone, but you have to get over your own stuff in your own mind, so that when you're talking to other people, you're not still getting over it by talking to them. That's kind of how I see it. Is like you have to face your problems so that because you can tell when people aren't over something.
Yeah.
Like because they constantly are talking about it. Like,
yes. Like
so,
racism, for example.
Right. They're not over it because they think it's all cops are racist or. It's not true. Like
it can't factually. It couldn't be true.
All this is never that. It's just you just can't categorize people when there's so many. Like you can't say all women are this, all men are that. There's zero
absolutes.
Yeah, it's just not like you can't say all women are feminine, dude. There's plenty of women in the world that would beat my ass, outlive me, anything that is manly.
And they still got a cooter.
Yeah, it's just, you just can't categorize people. It's just, humans are humans and everybody's different. Like,
dude, like I'm just going to reiterate what I said before about like the hue. It's like it's in the root word of human. Yeah. We're meant to be the hues of mankind, and it's not just one. There's not one hue in a spectrum, we're a spectrum. And I just think it's beautiful, but I'm not sure where we went wrong. But it's like, I liked when you were bringing up like not focusing too much on
the past,
right? On the past,
yeah.
On what went wrong, because how did you say it? If you focus too much about...
I kind of compared it to like focusing on your peak in high school. Like, say you peak in high school and you're always talking about high school, but then your future's dead because all you care about is what you did. So you have no belief that what you can achieve is greater than that. So if you're always talking about your past achievements, it's good to reflect, but you have to at some point think, you know what? I can be way better than that. It might not be a pro baseball player, but maybe now I can be a baseball coach, and I can put what I know in the sport onto these kids or teenagers, and build something off of that, build relationships. When I was 15 years old, I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but I was giving back to my community, coaching kids. Like, I had just got through this whole football system. Since I was 7 years old, I started playing football. So 7 to 15, I was in this football system, and it changed my life. I had hella coach mentors. Like, I've got a bunch of friends, lifelong friends from that. And as soon as I was done, I stopped playing football in high school, and I decided I wanted to coach in the same program that I got through. And I started coaching with 8-year-old kids, and I followed them. So for 4 years, so from 8 to 12, I was coaching these kids. And
you were the mentor in their life.
I was the mentor in their life, but I didn't really know, because I knew I was doing something right in a way, but I wasn't doing it because it was right. I was doing it because I loved football. I loved what that program gave me. But what I didn't realize was, like, I was making relationships with the kids that they were going to cherish. And, like, because I was kind of close in age to them. Like, 7 years is a lot, but not that much. Like, they can see me as, like, close future, rather than the other coaches are 40, 50 years old.
They relate to you.
Some of them have kids on the team. I was going there, volunteer. No, we weren't getting paid. Like, nothing, none of that. Volunteer. I'm getting rides to the game with some of the coaches until I finally got my license. I started driving to the games. I'm giving kids rides to the games. I'm buying kids snacks. Like, I'm making lifelong relationship with these kids. Mind you, they're going through puberty at the same time, so they're challenging me. Like,
Shoot.
it was so crazy. And now, like, thinking back on it, it's like, wow, like, I didn't even know the magnitude of what I was doing while I was doing it.
Yeah.
But damn, I miss those kids. And some of those kids, I look at pictures of them now because I'm friends with their siblings or stuff like that, and they're fucking huge.
Like, you were coaching football. Where did you want from?
It's just like, man, it's that was like one of my favorite things that I've like done, and it's like ever since then I realized that I've been such a selfless soul. Like, I've always wanted to give back and just teach everything that I know, and it wasn't even always like football based. Like, we were teaching life lessons. It was like, you're late to practice, you're sitting out a quarter, or it was stuff like that. It was like, listen, I probably yelled at the kids one time, and I yelled at them because they weren't trying, and that bothered me because even though some of the coaches had kids on the team, all of us were volunteers. We were all volunteering our time. I was in school. I worked. Like, I had a job. I had 2 jobs actually, and I came to every practice. I came to every game, and I made sure the kids were always prepared. We did film. We went to other teams' games, got film from their games, broke it down, put them in the right positions. The only time I would ever get on them is if they didn't try. Because what are we doing here if you're not trying?
Yeah. That's
a life lesson.
Bro, that right there, that to a T, is what I think the new. That's to me is the evolution of man. That to me is the new procreation. That is like what you just explained was child rearing. You don't have any actual physical kids of your own, but damn, did you make a difference in their life?
Yeah.
Damn, did you shake the waves of this planet just by being a positive force in these young kids' life?
Yeah. And
it's what were you gonna say?
One of the years we actually, we went undefeated. We were the first team. We went undefeated all the way through the playoffs and won the championship. And I just remember, like, all the parents would come up to me, man, and they would just say, like, my kid loves you, like, can we get a picture? And I swear to God, like, that moment I was like, oh my God, like, that's so crazy. Like,
that's awesome.
I didn't even know who these kids were, like, and I'm making relationships with their parents. Their parents are looking at me like at a different way. Like, it's just, man, it was super, like, inspiring me. It kind of gave me light. Like, it gave, because, like I told you, at that time when I was 15, I was going through, my mom had cancer. Like, I was going through the darkest part of my life, but I still found something in me to give back.
That's what made you feel better.
That's what made me feel better. So,
dude,
it's crazy that hindsight, that was something that was super selfless act that I didn't even know. I just did it because that's just what I felt was right.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Friends?
I did not.
Well, I love Friends. And there's this scene where Phoebe is like telling Joey, there's no such thing as a selfless good deed. Because it makes you feel good, right? So therefore, you're being selfish. But I think you just debunked that a little bit. Because it's not exactly you're selfish. Because if you were selfish, you'd be taking more from the table than you were giving.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were putting in your light, and it was extra light because you had to find it through your darkness, and it's reciprocated from these kids who you see the appreciation in their eyes and their attitudes, and then you get to crawl out of your dark place because of the light that you put out first. And I think that that's the hardest part, is when you're in those dark moments to be the first one to spark the light. To be like, you know what, I will not let this take me down. I will be the positive force that I need.
Yeah. And that's not to say, I mean, I definitely went down like the smoking heavy pass and all that. So it's not to say like, oh, I was perfect in getting out. It's everybody struggles with stuff and grieving and all stuff like that. Like, I swear I thought I was gonna lose my mom, and that shit sucked. But I say one of the best parts was seeing the coach, because the coaches I was coaching with were people that seen me since I was their age.
That's kind of trippy.
So it was
the snake eats itself.
Yeah,
They're like,
so
hey, that's cool. I did that for him, and now he's doing that. Oh wow.
So it was like, it was cool.
The water gets poured.
It was just crazy to see my mentors start to look like change their view on me as a kid to an adult and somebody that they respected. So it was just it was good that I had them surrounding me, and they knew my mom, because
so you also were benefiting from a positive male role model.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that you didn't have a big male role model in your life growing up.
Correct.
So
it's such a sticky situation. So
it is, but we have to be able to teach kids, especially young people, anyone really. Fuck the kids, because a lot of grown-ups need more male-to-male bonding, and it's like there's certain areas that we can get that kind of bonding that doesn't always have to be surrounding violence or negativity or something like that, or sexual shit. You know, you can sometimes find this pure allyship in competition, in sports.
So that's one thing I always say is the best thing my mom did was, I mean, I already had brothers before I was born, but give me brothers and made sure I was in sports, because that gave me a competitive edge, and I was always busy. So even though I was lacking the father figure, I was always surrounded by coaches and mentors. And I know for kids, man, there's a lot of it's all just your personality. It's all in who you are. It's how you're gonna react to it. I've never been an angry, aggressive person, so I never really grieved with anger. And I know that's easy, and especially for a lot of minority people who don't have that father figure, they like replace that with anger.
Why? I mean, I guess it's easy.
It's just easy. It's easy to be angry. It's, you're not my dad, all stuff like that. So it's like, for me, it's like I just took the mentors I had, and I learned from my dad. Still, like, he wasn't completely out of the picture, so I guess that has something to do with it. But I learned a lot of what not to do from my dad. So
equally as valuable.
Yeah, it's all about your personality and how you decide you're gonna cope with it, man. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're a kid. It's not something that you should have to do. I mean, my dad has put me through a lot of stuff, and my mom, and I've had to stand up to my dad. My dad literally used me to try to commit suicide. He's put me through a lot of stuff.
Can I ask how that went down?
Yeah, so my dad's a truck driver, and
they make pretty good money.
I got a call in the middle of the night, maybe like 2 a.m. that he was drunk driving. He got a DUI, and man, I'm tired, so I go pick him up, and I'll make this short. So I go pick him up, and I'm just like, what happened? He's like, we'll talk about it later. He's like, I'll sleep in my work truck. Can you just take me home? I just gotta grab something and then take me to my truck. I was like, alright, cool. Didn't think anything of it. So take him home, goes inside real quick, grabs something. I had no idea what it was. I'll get to that later. I take him to his work truck, gets out his car, and he says, I love you. And then that was it. I went home. 4 hours later, maybe like 6 a.m., I get a call from a random number. It's like, if you didn't hear, long story short, Dad got a DUI, picked him up, took him, he grabbed pills, took him to his truck, he tried to kill himself, boom, in the hospital.
But that would have made you immediately connected to his death, which would have really fucked and sucked.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't even know. So one thing is like, shit, man, I don't know. The feminization thing is like being raised by women, and you said a lot of minorities are raised by women.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole kind of hatred of they're trying to feminize like the black man, and I'm concerned because I think that there's a weird paradox going on because women are more emotional, like we talked about. They're more nurturing, but that's what comes with it, and it's like how. They're raised with this emotion, but it's not pointed in any direction. And so they don't get the foresight to see that it's important to be feminine sometimes.
Yeah. It's the problem with single parent households is that it's supposed to be a conjoined thing. So it's like one side can only teach you so much, and then the other side can, intervene and teach together. But when it's just your mom or just your dad, even it's hard to say a male is single father raising a daughter. It's really hard for a male to help a daughter when she starts to get her period or she starts to go through, puberty and start to think about how she looks and all stuff like that. That's
you need a female model of what you need a model. You need your model. You need your model and an example. That's why this whole kind of trans movement is really confusing and it's hard to get behind, because how are we supposed to teach the kids to be all that they can be when, first of all, they don't even feel like they're in the right body, and second of all, they don't know who to go to give them proper response mechanisms for their body, because we're all the same. Well, no, we're freaking not. It's like, I don't know what it's like to have my period. And if I was like a girl, I would not want to be pointed in the direction with anyone with a dick. I'm like, what are they going to tell me?
Yeah.
They're going to tell me what they learned off of YouTube. I want to hear someone who's been through it to tell me about it.
Right.
I want to hear from the horse's mouth.
That's something I've learned. There's a difference between an opinion and advice.
Ooh, let's end it on that. Let's end it on that. What's the difference between an opinion and advice?
So, I just say advice comes from an expert, but there's two things you gotta think about. It's gonna be credibility and motive. So, if I'm looking to become fit, I'm not gonna ask somebody who's morbidly obese.
Yes.
Obviously. That would be credibility.
Yeah.
But motive is also just as important. And it's, why are they trying to help? Or what are they trying to get out of helping you? Whereas me helping those kids, I wasn't getting anything out of that at the moment that I knew. Like, I was getting something out of it, but I didn't realize that until now.
Yeah.
It's just your motive it's like, my motive to help people isn't good karma in return. It's to help people.
I'm not doing it to go to heaven.
Right. So it's just a credibility and motive. Like, when people give advice, if they seem like a fucking good person, then listen. Like, you don't lose anything by listening to somebody. Like, cool, if you don't agree, it's your life. At the end of the day, you're living your life. Main character syndrome is a bad thing, but at the end of the day, you're the actor in your movie, man.
Wouldn't you want your character to be to the legacy to be like, hey, they listened and they were really cool.
Yeah.
Instead of that was an asshole who fucked a lot of girls and they didn't even want it.
Yeah. Just the problem is people just think,
Or, you know.
man, like, I don't need to listen to you. Like, who are you? Well, I just told you who I am, and you didn't listen. So, some people, it comes down to ego. I don't know, man. I let all that shit go. Like,
Dude, and this is what happens when you let ego go and you follow through on cool connections with strangers that aren't really strange. Social climate change. Peace out, guys.